بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. Perhaps we'll speak tonight, Lutfi, regarding Zakatul-Fitr, or some people call it Sadaqatul-Fitr, or some people may call it Sadaqatul-Fitra or Zakatul-Fitra. One of the rituals of the closing days of the sacred month of Ramadan with regards to welcoming and bringing in the festive day of Eid al-Fitr, that which we call Zakatul-Fitr. Alhamdulillah, we've explained it many times, we've covered it many times, and there's nothing wrong with explaining it again, with covering it again, and going over it again. There's nothing wrong with that. Rather, that is extremely beneficial. First and foremost, for me, the one who's presenting the information, the instructor, before you. Every time I give the class, every time I give the reminder or the speech or the question is answered, it's a means of me refreshing myself, reminding myself, and renewing my relationship and connection with the ilm and with the information that is found in ilm shar'i. Also, for the listener, every time you hear something again, a second time, a third time, a fourth time, perhaps the first time you didn't get everything. Perhaps the first time you only got 60% or 70%. Perhaps the first or the second time you thought that you understood it, but you really didn't actually get it 100% until the third or the fourth time. Or perhaps, even if you did get it, there's nothing wrong with being reminded. There's nothing wrong with being reminded and reviewing the information. Khairan, inshallah ta'ala. So as we read before, I'm going to read again from the book called Zakatul-Fitr fil Fiqh al-Muyassar, or as it's known in English, as it was translated some years back, Fiqh Made Easy. And I believe that the title of the book in English, in Arabic, is called Taysirul-Fiqh. Taysirul-Fiqh, of Dr. Salih Al-Sadlan, and it was translated by Jamaluddin Zarabozo, called Fiqh Made Easy, a simple and concise manual on fiqh that is very beneficial in the Arabic language, and it's also beneficial in the English language as well. For Tulab al-Ilm, for laymen who are studious, for local imams of masjids, those who are running summer camps, those who are taking care of Sunday school, those instructors, muallimeen of the halaqat, of tahfidh, and the different Islamic studies and things like this. It's a very important and beneficial manual, inshallah ta'ala. Risalatun fil Fiqh al-Muyassar, in Arabic, that's what it's called. And in English, it's called Fiqh Made Easy. If my memory serves me correctly, it was published by Al-Bashir Publications a good number of years back. The book should still be in circulation. And if you can't find an actual copy, then bid'inah ta'ala, you can obtain the PDF from online. You can obtain the PDF from online. It's a very clear, concise, easy, simple manual on fiqh. Khairan, inshallah. The author, Dr. Sadlan, he says in the chapter at the end of the book of Zakah, Zakatul-Fitr. أولاً حكمتها. من حكمة زكاة الفطر أنها تطهر نفس الصائم مما يكون قد علق بها من أثار اللغو والرفث، كما أنها تغني الفقراء والمساكين عن السؤال يوم العيد. He starts off by talking about the wisdom of Zakatul-Fitr. And this is this well-known style, something that we always try to do in our classes, our lectures, our conferences. What are the wisdoms of this act of ibadah? What are the wisdoms of this? Why was this made a rule? Why was this made a law? Why was this thing legislated? And when you understand the hikmah behind the thing, it gives you several different fruits. The first, it prevents you from misguidance. It prevents you from extremism. And also prevents you from innovations. Because you know why or what is the purpose of the ibadah. The whole entire concept of the hijab is to cover, is to screen, is to provide shyness and bashfulness. So if you understand that's the hikmah of the hijab, then it's impossible, wa alaikum assalam, inshallah, for you to fall into wearing a hijab that is a means of display. That is a means of attraction. That's a means of infatuation. Because that goes against the what? The whole purpose of the hijab from the get-go is not a fashion show. Everybody understand this? If this one small simple point was understood by so many Muslims today, men and women, the hijab is not meant to be a what? A fashion show. Also, another very widespread misconception with regards to many women who come to Islam, they revert to Islam. They say, I came to Islam because Islam gives me honor, Islam gives me dignity, and Islam doesn't make me just a sex symbol. Or it doesn't just look at my, it forces people not to just look at my beauty and my outward appearance, but to respect me for who I am. That's partially right. And another part of that is totally incorrect. There's nothing wrong with your husband looking at your beauty and liking you for your personality and your physical beauty and your physical charm, but not the strangers in the street. Everybody understand this? The man who wishes to marry you, it's nothing wrong with him liking your personality for who you truly are as a person, but it's nothing wrong with him what? Seeing what you look like. And also marrying you for your beauty. And being gravitated towards you for what Allah blessed you of, physical appearance. That's wrong. You in the house with your husband, you're not going to wear the hijab. You're not going to wear niqab and a glove. You're not going to be dressed from top to toe in long, loose clothes and say, love me, husband, for my internal personality. Does it make sense, I would say? And this is the case of what? Many people. When you read their testimonies, why they came to Islam. And that's only what? Partially true. But the hikmah of the hijab is to screen someone who isn't your mahram, who is not to see you uncovered. The hijab is not what? Absolute. The hijab isn't what? It's not absolute. The hijab isn't what? Absolute. It's only restricted to those who are not allowed to see certain things. And there are levels. Your father can see things that someone who isn't your father can see. Your husband can see things that your father cannot see. But the hijab is not what? It's not absolute. So that's a total misconception that people don't realize. And they would avoid this misconception if they just knew the what? The hikmah of the hijab. That's the purpose of the hijab. Well, how can that? Everybody clear on this? The hikmah of lowering the gaze is fitna, is infatuation, is looking at things that you shouldn't look at that will lead to other things. And if that is not present, if there is no fitna, if there is no infatuation, then it goes back to the asl of what? The permissibility of what? Of looking at things because of the hikmah of the legislation. And we can go on and on and on and on and on and on and what? And on. The hikmah of the deen. The hikmah of the sharia. Why this is a rule. Why this is haram. Why this is obligatory. Why this is makruh. Why this is what? Mustahab. Recommended. Khairan inshallah. Fine. Moving forward. The author, he says, from the wisdoms, listen carefully, he says, min hikmati Zakatul-Fitr. From the wisdoms. And when we use this word from, it automatically teaches us is that we don't understand what? All of the wisdoms. But we only understand what? Some of the wisdoms. And we never lose our place as servants and slaves. Our knowledge is limited. Our comprehension is restricted. Our understanding is what? Is not limitless. From the wisdoms that Allah has allowed us to learn about. From the wisdoms of Zakatul-Fitr, he says first and foremost, is that it cleanses, it cleans, it washes, it wipes away the filth, the dirt, and the sediments of sin. Avoid baseless, idle talk that the fasting Muslim may have fell into. He didn't eat, he didn't drink, but he was joking. He didn't eat, he didn't drink, but he talked about something that he wasn't supposed to talk about. Everybody understand this? Of backbiting, of passing on a story, of talking about a woman who walks by or a man who walks by. Which everybody falls into on one level, what? Or another. Some type of idle talk. Did you see the game last night? Fulan scored 30 points. Fulana kada. This one that. A joke. Making fun of your brother. Oh, you see Mufti, Talib. Everything like that. Everybody understand this? So the Zakatul-Fitr is considered to be the final cleansing. The fine-tuning of the purification and of the purging process. Now, and there's so many different examples that we can make. We made one before about the car wash. You go into the car wash and they have the big machine with the suds and the bubbles and the high-powered jet. The water's pouring all over the car, splashing, wiping the car down. And then when the car comes out of the car wash, they do what? They have the what? Hands the tiles, to do what? Get every small spot. That which the big broad brush couldn't what? Couldn't get. Everybody understand this? So the Zakatul-Fitr is considered to be the final refinement process. The final stage of cleanliness that you have to go through before you can go to the Eid and stop fasting. This is from the first wisdom, or this is the first wisdom of Zakatul-Fitr. He then says, and the second wisdom of Zakatul-Fitr is that it makes the poor Muslims happy on the day of the Eid. If they have no other day to be happy, no other day in which they don't have to beg, in which they don't have to ask, in which they don't have to humiliate themselves and walking from door to door and begging people for money, then let it be on the Eid. Let it be what? Let them on the Eid. Everybody understand this? Let it be what? Let it be on the Eid. They're going to be poor after the Eid, but at least let them have a what? A good day. Everybody understand this? So these are the two main wisdoms of Zakatul-Fitr. Zakatul-Fitr is not to help the poor Muslims other than the Eid. That's not the initial wisdom. That's other types of sadaqah. There's other types of zakah. But Zakatul-Fitr is specific for what? The day of the Eid. Everybody understand this? And allow them to be happy and to have fun on the what? On the day of the Eid. So the author, he says, these are the two wisdoms with regards to the legislation of Zakatul-Fitr. Moving forward. The author, he then says, مقدارها وأنواع الأطعمة التي تخرج منها. مقدار زكاة الفطر الصاع والصاع 4 أمداد ويقدر الصاع ب3 كيلوات تقريبا وتخرج من غالب قوت أهل البلد سواء كان قمحا أو تمرا أو رزا أو زبيبا أو أقطاع. The author, he says, what is the amount of Zakatul-Fitr? How much is one to pay for Zakatul-Fitr? And what types of food stuff are you allowed to give and to disperse for your Zakatul-Fitr? He says the amount of Zakatul-Fitr that is due is that which is called a sa'. And a sa' is an ancient prophetic way of measurement. And a sa' basically means for you to take your two hands, put them together, cup them together, and scoop them into the grain, scoop them into the wheat, the flour, or whatever you're using to pay the Zakatul-Fitr. You're going to do this what? 4 times. 4 times. From the basket, from the barrel, from the bag, from the cylinder, into your own bag. And the amount of grain that you have after those 4 scoops is called a sa'. It's called a what? It's called a sa'. 4 muds. He says in a mud or a sa', 4 of these muds is approximately 3 kilometers or 3 kilograms, excuse me. 3 how many? Omar, 3 what? 3 kilos. Everybody understand this? Tayyib or not? 3 kilograms. Tayyib. He says 3 kilowatt. 3 kilograms. How many pounds, Shaykh Khan?
2.2 pounds.
7 pounds, 5 pounds, which one? 6.6 pounds. Right. Listen very carefully. He then says, and the things that you're allowed to pay in Zakatul-Fitr is that which is a staple, basic food of the people of the country, the people of the land. That which they can survive off of. It doesn't have to be the most delicious, yummy food, the most cherished food, the greatest delicacy, the food that's eaten on a holiday or festive day, but a food that is considered to be staple, that keeps the people from starving. And some of the people of knowledge, they say that the food that is given should be dry. And it should be able to be, or one should be able to store it and put it up without it spoiling and rotting. Everybody understand this? He says here, such as wheat, dates, rice, raisins, cottage cheese, dry yogurt, anything like this. Now let's ask ourselves the question. Abu Saeed, question is for you. After you was going to Jeremy, then it's going to Osama. Is it permissible to give dates for Zakatul-Fitr?
No, it's not a staple food.
It's not a staple food in America. Fight. Jamil. Not a staple food. You're going to Abu Saeed. Osama. You agree? Right, inshallah. So what would dates be classified as? Appetizer. Delicacy. Nafis. When that's about it being dry, what is it considered?
I could eat dates in the middle.
Solid. Right. Some of the people knowledge, they say that you cannot give dates in Zakatul-Fitr anymore. And the reason being is that a date in most places, not all, is not considered a what? A staple food. Rather, it's classified as a fruit. It's classified as a what? A fruit. Everybody understands? Some people may even go as far to say it's classified as a delicacy. Some people may classify it as a what? A luxury. What's important is that it's considered to be a what? A fruit. But in time of the Prophet, a date was considered to be a what? Now, obviously, this is not agreed upon. And this point can be debated and argued over, because one may say, even in the time of the Prophet, the date was still considered to be a what? A fruit. As Allah mentions in the Quran, Allah says what? Kull al-thamarat. He says thamarat, fruits. And he's talking about the what? The date palm tree. Several ayats. Nakhil wa anab. Everybody understand this? So that point can be argued and that point can be debated on. What is important is that in the time of the Messenger of Allah, the companions were ordered to pay the Zakatul-Fitr with these types of foodstuff. Everybody clear on this? Raisins, which are automatically what? Dry. There's no such thing as a what? Dry raisin. A wet raisin is a what? Tayyib. Everybody clear on this? Tayyib. Everybody understand this or not? Now the question is, the $1 million question, is it permissible to pay Zakatul-Fitr in money?
Yes.
Omar says yes. How much money can you pay for Zakatul-Fitr?
It depends when you're going to give it.
Say you want to give it in New York City.
$10 they said.
$10. All right, type. Sheikh Khan, we said 6.6 pounds, right? Like 6.6 pounds of what? Oatmeal? Quaker oats. Naam, with the Quaker on the front. It's a reality. Or grits. Type. How much does that cost? A 6-pound cylinder of Quaker oats. $9. Type. 6 pounds of rice. $10. Type. Cereal. 6 pounds of cornflakes. Kellogg's cornflakes with the rooster. Nah. Cornflakes, akhi. Everybody can't afford Frosted Flakes. Let alone Tony the Tiger. Allah knows best about him. Right, Umar? He's not clear. We don't know his minhaj. The rooster is what? Clear. Sahih? Tayyib. How much does that cost? $6. 6 pounds of Frosted Flakes. No problem. They're great. About $20?
Probably about $9. Big box.
$9, 6 pounds?
Way more. Way more. $10. Not even $4. Like $4 per box.
Tayyib, Lutfi. You know how heavy 6 pounds is? Okay, so 6 pounds of cereal. How much is it going to cost?
About $30.
Walmart costs like $5 for 500 grams.
Tayyib.
Look. It's about $5 for a 33 ounce of Kellogg's.
Slow down, everybody slow down.
Frosted Flakes.
Everybody listen up, this is very important. We're trying to get to a point, okay? Fadal, Nafis.
This is about $5 for Kellogg's Frosted Flake giant size.
$5.
33 ounces.
How many ounces?
33 ounces.
33 ounces. That's 2 pounds.
2 pounds. 200 pounds on it.
Alright, tie it. So let's do the math. About $15? Where can you buy loose frosted flakes, Shake?
This came from what's the big box. It's a family pack. It's 2 of them in a pack and a big box.
How many pounds?
It's probably about 5 pounds.
It's like 16 ounces.
Cereal is expensive, man.
It's like $12 for like a big bag.
Right, point proven or not, is that when you give zakat to the fitr in money, the calculation is not as what? It fluctuates greatly from what you're buying. Brown rice is not the same as bleached rice. Everybody understand this? Organic brown rice is not the same as GMO brown rice. Frosted Flakes is not the same as Corn Flakes. Corn Flakes, no frills is not the same as Kellogg's or Captain Crunch. Everybody understand this? Is that even a staple food?
Nah, you need milk for this.
Cereal?
Cereal? That's a steak.
Not Captain Crunch.
Yeah, Allah.
I didn't say Captain Crunch.
Right.
What about all brand?
Right. Now, all right, let's repeat the question to make sure we understand it correctly. This is very important. Can you eat rice by itself and survive?
Yes.
Okay. Grits.
Yes.
Cream of wheat.
Yes.
Okay. Oatmeal.
Yes.
Captain Crunch.
Yes.
Tony the Tiger. Can you survive if you eat a whole bowl of Frosted Flakes without your stomach being upset? Right or wrong, Osama? That's a lot of icing and frosting in your belly with no milk. Everybody understand this? So one could possibly say there's certain types of cereal which are not considered what? Staple foods. Correct? Now, another very important issue, Abu Bakr, is what? Is that if you're going to give the cereal, then perhaps you have to give other things that are needed, such as milk. Everybody understand this? When it comes to giving meat as sadaqah, as charity, the people of knowledge say it's also recommended to give things that are needed for the meat, such as seasonings or potatoes, what have you. Everybody understand this or not? Or maybe even to help them out with their gas bill. How are they going to cook it? Naam? Khairan, inshallah. So therefore, those who say that you can't give money, they make an estimation. $10 could be acceptable. One may say that's not enough. Everybody understand this? One may say $12. One may say $15. Some people say even $20. Everybody understand this? No matter what the case, it's going to be what? Taqreeb. It's going to be what? Close as possible, approximately. Everybody understand this? Khairan, inshallah. So therefore, the average masjid is how much, Shaykh Khan, for money, for Zakatul-Fitr? $10. Is that the least? The minimum. Do you think that's wise to make the minimum? It should be how much? $15 to cover any problems. Perhaps? Khairan, inshallah. So therefore, the author, he's of the view here, just like most of the people of knowledge are of the view, that the only thing that can be given for Zakatul-Fitr is actual what? Ta'am. Food stuff, and not necessarily food. Alright, clear on this? And it has to be what? Dry. And it also has to be what? Staple. And it also has to be something that's what? Something that a person can survive off of and eat, and if that's all they had, they can survive. Alright, clear on this or not? Khairan, inshallah. As far as some of the other ulama of the past, some people say that is Imam Ahmad's view, fi riwayah, one version of his madhab. Others say it was also one of the versions of Imam Abu Hanifa, rahimahullah. Others say it's the view of Hassan al-Basri, rahimahullah, Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, and a few others as well. They held the view that the asl of Zakatul-Fitr was foodstuff. That's the thing that you should do. But it doesn't necessarily restrict, nor does it necessarily mean that it's haram and invalid to give it in what? Currency. To give it in what? Currency, or monetary means. Khairan inshallah. So therefore, what should be done? The following things. Number one, if you can give the grains and the food stuff, that is what you should do. And there's no doubt about that. That's what you what? Should do. If you cannot give the grains, or no one will accept the grains, then try to give it in currency. If you can't find someone to take it, which is very highly unlikely, then bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, perhaps a good idea is to give grains in another country. Not money, but what? Grains. You send $500 from a collective group of Muslims, and you tell them this $500, grains are to be purchased a day before the Eid. And they're to be dispersed, given out, put into circulation to the poor Muslims before the what? Before the Eid. This $500 is not to be spent on meat. It's not to be spent on toys. It's not to be spent on gasoline. It's not to be spent on anything that's needed. The other needs and necessities and other wants, toys, festivities will be what? Taken care of with other what? Expenses. Everybody clear on this or not? This is very important, guys. When we get into the concept of sending money overseas, which many brothers and sisters, they do. They have a kafara. They made a mistake in Ramadan. They did something wrong. Naam? And they send it overseas. And they send it to someone who isn't knowledgeable. They send it to someone who isn't trustworthy. They send it to someone who isn't strong. And the person ends up spending the money on what? Another cause. The sin falls on you. And the expiation that you were trying to pay off, or the oath, or the aqiqah, or the walima is invalid. And that is because you were laxed. You were nonchalant. You didn't give the necessary time and attention and care to finding someone who is trustworthy and strong to get the job done. If you send money overseas for a kafara, and they spend it on the masjid electricity, your kafara is what? You still owe that debt. You have to make sure that the person that you're sending the money knows clearly what the kafara is. This money is meant to feed 60 poor Muslims, nothing else. It's not for their shoes, it's not for their clothes, it's not for their medical expenses. It's for what? Food. Everybody understand this or not? And any other sadaqah that's sent without a restriction is what? You take care of it, you handle it as you see fit. The Muslims in this country, you know better than I do. Here's my sadaqah, faddal. Here's my zakat, what? Everybody clear on this? But if you're sending the money for a specific reason, the one to whom you're sending the money has to have these two characteristics. He has to be trustworthy, not greedy, not a thief. Huh, Umar? No. Everybody understand this? And he also has to be what? Strong. He has to have skills. It's a balance. Don't forget that. Everybody understand it has to be what? Everybody clear on this? And these are the two characteristics of anyone that is going to be your wakil, who's going to be your agent. He has to be strong and he has to be what? Trustworthy. Not just trustworthy, but also what? And not just strong, but also what? Trustworthy. Khairan, inshallah. That's the general rule of sending money overseas. Moving forward, some people, they say, let's send the money overseas because there's no poor people in New York City. They say there's no what? There's no fuqara, there's no masakin in New York City. Okay, tayyib. A new issue is, Khalid, is that if you can't find no poor Muslims in Queens, New York, are there poor Muslims in other boroughs? If you can't find poor Muslims in New York City, are there poor Muslims in New York State? If you can't find poor Muslims in New York State, are there poor Muslims in Detroit or Dallas or whatever? Everybody understand this? So is it permissible to send money overseas across an ocean and there's still people that are hungry and starving and needy in the United States of America? That's a very important question that needs to be answered. Everybody understand this? It may be best for you to keep the money in your own country instead of sending it to another country in which there are people who are needy, but there are still needy people what? In America. Everybody clear on this? So these are all very interesting points of food for thought. Wallahu a'lam. Moving forward to the third point, the author says, وَقْتُ وُجُوبِهَا وَوَقْتُ إِخْرَاجِهَا تجب زكاة الفطر بحلول ليلة العيد وأوقات إخراجها وقت جواز وهو إخراجها قبل يوم العيد بيوم أو يومين لفعل ابن عمر ذلك ووقت أداء فاضل وهو من طلوع فجر يوم العيد إلى قبيل الصلاة لأمره صلى الله عليه وسلم بزكاة الفطر أن تؤدى قبل خروج الناس إلى الصلاة. We'll stop here. Inshallah ta'ala, by Allah's permission, tomorrow evening we will continue. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one whom we ask for beneficial knowledge, for righteous action, and firmness upon that. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.